You're doing everything right, and that's exactly the problem. You're not buying bottles at clubs, you're not gambling, you're not blowing money on obvious stupidity, you're getting raises, you're paying your bills, you're doing what responsible adults are supposed to do. And yet, 5 years from now, 10 years from now, your bank account is going to look almost identical to what it looks like today. Not because you're irresponsible, because you've been following a script that was never written to make you wealthy. Here are the 7 habits inside that script. And the worst part about all of them? Every single one feels like the right thing to do. Trading time for money and calling it a plan. You have one income stream, your job. And when it stops, injury, layoff, burnout, a boss who decides they don't like you anymore, everything stops with it. That's not a financial plan. That's a trap with a direct deposit. Wealthy people think about this differently. They obsess over one question: what pays me when I'm not working? Dividends, rental income, a business that doesn't need them in the room. They don't start big, they start early. Vanguard's long-term return data on the S&P 500 shows an average annual return of roughly 7% after inflation over the past 50 years. At that rate, $200 a month invested consistently for 20 years becomes over $150,000, not from luck, from compounding. One income stream isn't a plan, it's a starting point. The wealthy never let it be anything more. Spending to look wealthy instead of actually becoming wealthy. There's a form of poverty that wears designer clothes. Financed cars, handbags on credit, vacations charged to a card that won't be paid off until next year. All of it carefully staged for people who don't actually care, and who are probably doing the exact same thing. Thomas Stanley spent 20 years studying American millionaires for The Millionaire Next Door. What he found: most genuinely wealthy people drive average cars, live in modest homes, and have zero interest in what strangers think of them. Not because they can't afford luxury, because they understood early that looking rich and being rich are opposite strategies. Every dollar spent performing wealth is a dollar that cannot build it. Letting lifestyle eat every raise. You get a raise. You upgrade the apartment, get a better car, start eating at places with actual tablecloths. 3 months later, the raise is gone, and somehow you feel like you're making less than you were before. Economists call this lifestyle inflation. Behavioral economists call it hedonic adaptation, the proven tendency for humans to return to a baseline level of happiness regardless of income gains. Which means you upgrade your life, feel great for 90 days, and then need to upgrade again. It never stops unless you stop it deliberately. Here's what the data says wealthy people actually do. They automate savings increases before the new income ever touches a checking account. Every raise, every bonus, a fixed percentage goes straight to investments before there's any temptation to spend it. The gap between income and lifestyle is where wealth lives. That gap has to be protected on purpose. Avoiding discomfort and calling it self-care. This one is going to be uncomfortable to hear. That's how you'll know it's true. Every skill you avoid because it feels hard is costing you real compounding money. Not theoretically, mathematically. Linda Babcock's research at Carnegie Mellon found that people who negotiate their starting salary earn an average of $5,000 more per year than those who don't. Compounded over a 40-year career, with raises tied to that base, that gap can exceed $600,000. From one conversation. One uncomfortable conversation that most people avoid because it felt awkward. That's what avoidance actually costs. Not comfort, $600,000. The wealthy have learned to look at discomfort differently. Not as a stop sign, as a signal. When something feels hard, they ask one question: is this the kind of hard that pays off? Negotiation, public speaking, leadership, learning to read a financial statement. Usually the answer is yes, and they do it anyway. Treating debt like it's just part of adult life. Everyone has a car payment. You'll always have a mortgage. Credit card debt is just how it works. These sound like facts. They're not. They're a business model, specifically the business model of an industry that collected $130 billion in credit card interest and fees from American consumers in 2022 alone, according to the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau. That number required millions of people to believe those phrases were true. Wealthy people use debt, but surgically. Only for assets that appreciate, never for consumption. Because the math is brutal. If you carry a 22% APR credit card balance while earning 8% in the market, you are losing 14% per year. Automatically, quietly, every single month you carry that balance. And here's the version of this nobody talks about. The $35,000 car financed over 6 years doesn't cost $35,000. After interest, it costs closer to $45,000. And when the payments end, the car is worth $9,000. You lost $36,000 on something that was also losing value the entire time, while believing you could afford it because the monthly payment fit the budget. Monthly payment thinking is how you stay broke while genuinely believing you're doing fine. Letting your financial life run on autopilot. Most people don't make bad financial decisions. They make no decisions and let defaults fill the gap. The streaming services they forgot about, the gym membership, the subscription boxes, the insurance premium that hasn't been reviewed in 3 years. Individually, none of it is catastrophic. Collectively, research from West Virginia University found that consumers underestimate their recurring subscription spending by an average of 2.5 times. People think they're spending $86 a month on subscriptions. They're actually spending $219. Wealth requires active maintenance, not obsession, attention. A monthly 30-minute audit of where your money is going is the difference between a financial strategy and a financial drift. Most people are drifting. They just don't realize it yet. Thinking about money only when something goes wrong. This is the one that ties all the others together. Most people think about money reactively. When the bill arrives, when the card declines, when the emergency hits. Wealthy people think about money proactively and constantly. They plan, they model scenarios, they ask, what does this decision look like in 5 years? Here's the attention gap in one number. According to a Ramsey Solutions survey of over 10,000 millionaires, 97% maintained a written financial plan. Meanwhile, a 2023 CNBC survey found that 56% of Americans have no budget at all. You cannot optimize what you don't measure. You cannot build something you're not watching. Attention is the first form of capital. And right now, most people are spending it on everything except the one thing that compounds. None of this requires a higher income to fix. It requires a decision, one decision made this week, not perfectly, just directionally. Pick one habit from this list, one, and change it before Friday. Not because it'll make you rich overnight, because the person who changes one habit this week and one next month and one after that looks completely different in 5 years from the person who watched this video and kept scrolling. One more thing before you go. We just covered the habits. But there's a question underneath all of this that nobody asks, and it's the real reason most people never start. We broke it down in the next video. If you got this far, you need to watch it.